All right, our guest today is a journalist working in the local community of Pincher Creek for Shooting the Breeze, with over 8 years of experience in writing and editing, and she's done digital and print media both. She's worked with organizations like Times Network, Money Control, Indian Express, and Hindustan Times in India. In her career, she's covered lots of topics, including politics, international relations, technology, science, health, and entertainment. And after all of this experience, she came to Canada. She's been here for a couple of years, and today she works for a publication called Shooting the Breeze. She's here today to share her experiences, her challenges, and the lessons that she has learned so far. Please welcome Somya Lohia on Uproots podcast. How are you doing, Somya?
I'm good. I'm very good. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us. We've made this podcast for newcomers, people who have come recently to Canada. And I think your story will resonate with them, how you found the job and moved into a rural community, your day to day, your personal life, your professional life. Everyone has their unique story on why they decided to come to India. And what I wanted to ask was, is Canada your first option? Was it your first option, or did you try to move to another country and then you came to Canada, or was Canada the easiest option to move to? And more importantly, what motivated you to move to Canada?
It was not a very planned decision to come to Canada. My husband got a job offer here in Canada. So my option was either be come to Canada with him or just stay in India and pursue my career or whatever I
Yeah,
am doing. So I thought, okay, there's press freedom, there's earnings in dollars,
yeah, that always helps.
political influence, and yeah, near America. So I thought, okay, it could be a like stepping stone for my journalism career, and then of course I will be with him. That's a like cherry on top. So I said,
Mm,
okay, if he's getting a job in Canada and if he thinks that he should go, I should also go with him, and
mm.
yeah, take my career to the next level.
Moving to Canada has mostly been for betterment of your life and trying to earn in dollars and trying to kind of change your life for the better and have some stability in your life as well. All of those reasons are definitely what most people move to Canada and move abroad for. When you moved to Canada, though, you must have had a lot of expectations of moving to Canada. What kind of research did you do before you moved to Canada? What preparations did you do before you moved to Canada? And I wanted to ask, how long did you take from taking the decision to moving to Canada and moving to Canada? Was it months? Was it years? And how did you spend that time?
Course, I went to social media because I had no
Right.
relative in Canada or someone like who can just tell me about it. Or some of my husband's friend was here, but they were all in IT industry. So
Mm,
I had completely no one who can guide me about my journalism journey in Canada. So when I talked to them, they were like, "Yeah, that there is so much scope in IT," because they were talking from the IT perspective. And if you are a journalist, you can do it anywhere. The thing that I searched was that if my degree relevant in Canada, because there are some jobs on which you have to study again when you are coming here. For example, if you are
right.
a doctor, if you are a lawyer, accountant. So and I was like, yes, my degree is valuable there and I can easily get a job, no problem at all. And we were moving to Brampton. My husband's friend was in Brampton, so we said, okay, let's go to Brampton first, and then we can move anywhere. So it was near Toronto. Toronto is a big city of Canada. There are so many big media houses there. It's like hub of news, and it's not very far from a big city.
And all of this research that you did you just do it on social media? Did you contact any employers and ask them about your degrees and if your qualifications and your experience had any weight in Canada, or was it mostly social media research that you did?
Mostly I did social media research. Also, I
Right.
contacted like a few journalists who are working here, but basically I only asked if my degree is relevant there, and they said yes. Neither did I ask, neither did I thought that there will be like crunch of jobs here, nor they told me this. They were like, yes, yes, your degree is completely relevant here and contact me when you come, no problem at all. And I was like, okay, great.
And when you came here, did you think that since your degree was relevant and you already found that on social media, did you think that you would move here, apply for jobs, and within a couple of weeks you would have a job? Was that your expectation?
So I actually came here on a spouse visa with my husband. So I came in October, and in March I got my work permit. And the day I remember I got my work permit, I was like on top of the moon that now I will start applying jobs, and I will get it. Just before I got my work permit, I gave my self pip exam. I got highest score in that. I was preparing myself for the interviews. I had no idea that my resume will get rejected. So I was just preparing myself for the interview. Okay, how I'll talk, what I will say.
And how did you do that? Like, did you speak to other job seekers, or did you use any of the resources that are available from the Canadian government for newcomers that prep you for interviews? Did you use any of these as well?
No, honestly, no. As I said, I did not think that I will need all these things. I was like, because I have given so many interviews in India, I have changed four jobs, and for changing four jobs, I at least I have given 20-25 interviews.
Exactly. And how different can those be from Canadian interviews, right?
I thought, okay, I'm very much prepared for it. So yeah, let's just walk through with my relocation to Canada, and I'm good. So in March, I remember I got my work permit, and after that, I start applying. So it was my daily routine to apply. I used to sit in the noon, like 2 p.m., 1 p.m., and I used to apply till 5 p.m., 6 p.m. And the next morning when I woke up, and then there are rejection mails. Although you are very good and your qualifications are outstanding, but we are moving to another candidate, and then it became a regular thing. So for 1 month I tried applying this. Like, then there were so many Instagram reels I could see. Have you made your resume ATS friendly? Have you did this to your cover letter? Have you done this to your resume? Go to this website, that website, and I started doing everything. I think maybe I did not do proper research, and that's why I faced what I faced. So coming to my job application, I used to apply, and then I started making ATS friendly resume. There were some jobs where they're on the first point, they're asking me to write this, that, how do you think about this. I remember I used to put like 2 hours in applying for just one job,
Yeah.
because I'm just customizing my resume, my cover letter according to the job description, and then I'm answering all their questions. I used to spend like hours on one application, and then someone told me about this job fair. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, job fair. In that job fair, there was like 200 people standing in the line, and this job fair is so good. That job fair is the biggest in Toronto. So
Yeah.
I remember my first, I went there, and then there was a huge line as expected, and I was dressed in my formals and with my heels and bag and folder with
Yeah.
my resumes, and I just went there, and when I saw the line, like, in any situation, when you see a long queue of people, you are like, oh my god. But I was like, oh my god, that means this works. That's why so many people are here.
That's a positive mindset, I have to say. Like, most people, then when they see a line, they get dejected and they get disappointed and they think that they don't have a chance. But you thinking that, yeah, it's brilliant.
Yes,
I love it. I
I
love it.
was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I'm at the right place, and now I will definitely get a job, or at least I'll get some networking here.
True.
So, like, after standing in the queue for like half an hour or something, I just went inside, and then I got to know that the one queue is for one counter. So, for
Yeah.
every counter in that room, you have to stand in the queue. There were like 15, 16 kayaks, as far as I remember.
I
I
see.
went to 5, 6 because then I thought, okay, no, let's not stand in the queue. Let's just first see the counters, and
Yeah.
whatever I think is fit for me, then I'll stand in that queue. What I saw there, like, out of that 14, 15 counters, uh, at least 6, 7 were for students.
Mostly just colleges trying to get money from you.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Then there was some for sales associate, like retail store jobs. I think I saw two counters where I could see a potential writing job, and then they said, no, we are either for Canadian citizens or PR or refugees. So I was like, okay, there's nothing for me. Like, there was just one thing that I saw was a line for 7-Eleven.
There was a
So at
job for sales associates to work in 7-Eleven at the
at
job fair.
at least 150 people were standing in queue to submit a resume for 7-Eleven. I called my husband because I got so demotivated. I got so discouraged. I was almost in tears, and I was already very disheartened. And that one moment of seeing that queue, seeing that people, gave me hope. And it took what, 1 hour to crush my hope again. And I was like, what is happening? Then I called my husband. I asked him that there is only one option that I can see where I can submit my resume. I had printed 10 resumes, and I was like, then I should at least give one. Then my husband said, what is the job for? I said, it's 7-Eleven, and 100, almost 100 people are standing there, so I'll just take some time because I'm now standing in the queue, so it will take some time. And then he said, it's of no use if 150 people are standing before you. It's of no use.
I mean, so many more applications online if that was the stack of physical resumes that they had. Did you think of going to other job fairs, or this experience completely demotivated you and you never went to another job fair?
It demotivated me, but see, I am a kind of a person who just not just stay back after just one experience. I always go for the second one, and the second one was disastrous.
Worse than this first one?
Worst. So
Okay.
there was no queue of people there, but then there
Mm.
was just 5 or 6 counters. Out of those 5 or 6 counters, 5 or 6 counters are for colleges.
See, that tells you how much education has been commercialized in Canada. These have become diploma mills where intention is not to get that education. The intention is to just move into permanent residence. The routes have been commercialized to such an extent that students are just being exploited. They've been given false expectations, and these students, they come in with really amazing expectations of Canada, and then they face these issues, face job fairs like these where there's 150 people waiting in line to work at a 7-Eleven, and then they get demotivated and complain about Canada. But it's not them, it's just that the education system here has been commercialized to such an extent.
I really don't understand why students are coming here, like they are completing their plus 2 and then they are coming at a very fragile age, not ready for Canada. They are not ready for the challenges which are lying ahead here for them. So
They don't
as I
even
was,
know what challenges are lying ahead of them here.
not at all. They are like seeing the Instagram reels of their neighbor's kid who is in
Yeah.
Canada and who is just posing in front of a Porsche.
They don't see the payments that the guy is making on the Porsche and how he's having to drive Uber to be able to make those payments.
I had no idea what's going on, because thankfully, because my struggle was going on, but my husband was having a good job, so I had no crunch of anything. My life was, on that note, it was good, but yeah, for the job hunting, it was going pathetic. It was going very bad, and I started job hunting in March, and by August, I was like, nothing is happening.
How many jobs do you think you would have applied for in this time?
I don't know,
You didn't
1,000.
even count yet. Yeah, possibly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like someday I end up applying 4 or 5 jobs. Someday I was applying
Mm.
50 jobs. So I have honestly no count of that, and I have no count of rejections that I've had.
And you're applying for any jobs at this point, right? You're not just applying for journalist jobs. Even though you have more than 8 years of experience in India working as a journalist, you're applying for any job that comes your way.
No, not till now. Till now, I was applying for only journalism jobs and then content writing jobs and communication jobs, because I have done masters in mass communication from Banaras Hindu University. I have also learned communication. I've also learned photography. I've also learned content writing. Those were the things that I was applying till August. Since September, I got so heartbroken. On September, it was my birthday. So my
Right.
husband arranged a great party for me, and I started feeling so bad because I knew that the next month is his birthday and I have no money to even give him anything, because all
Yeah.
my money, that some amount that I had saving, that was in my Indian account. I had no Canadian account. I had no money here. I felt very bad that what am I doing? It's been months, I'm jobless. Like I started feeling very lazy sometimes, and I'm waking up
Yeah.
at like a 12, 11, because I started feeling so demotivated looking at the job culture, the vacancies, the reels of people standing in queues. So I started feeling very disheartened. And on my birthday, I was like, now I have to do something. And then I remembered, why am I not connecting with people? Because those people who I connected back in India, they did not reply when I came here. So I
Right.
said, let's now talk to freelancers who are doing just work, not a full
Mm.
time job. And at the same time, I thought, okay, let's do a store associate job because I need some money to give a gift my husband on his birthday to have at least some money on my hand, because I was an independent girl back in India. I had my own money, I had my own PF, I had my own investment in, like, I was investing in SIPs, and I had some stocks. I stopped all because I had no money in Indian account as well. So I started feeling so helpless. And then I said, okay, I'll apply for few jobs and let's see if I get something before I get a full time job in the field that I have worked in. So I applied at few stores. Very quickly, I got a job in Winners. And at the same time, like, so many things happened at the same time. I My resume got selected to a company who asked me to write a sample of my work. And because, as I said, I was so disheartened, I could not think of anything except my condition and what I'm going through. So I just wrote my story about my struggle, what I'm going through, and I sent it to them. I contacted few people on LinkedIn, and one of them, Patrick, his name was, he replied to me. He said, okay, this is my phone number, please call me. And I just called him and I said, this is my condition, this is my experience, and I'm so hopeless right now, please tell me what should I do. Then he told me that, okay, good that you have thought about freelancing, and I'll send you some of the organizations name who are accepting pitches, story pitches. You can just send it to them and let's see what happens, and also send me your resume and cover letter, and I'll take a look at it and see what's wrong in it. Because I was, as I mentioned in the very beginning, I was preparing for the interviews. I had no clue that my resumes will not get shortlisted. So I said, please check my resume, please see what is the problem there, because this this is the work experience which has continuously get me into another jobs in India, and here not even one company is approaching me. What is the problem? Then he said, okay, I'll do that. Then he sent me a few links of the companies who are like inviting story pitches. So there was one New Canadian Media. I sent them my story, the one that I have written for another company who never replied to me, not even till date. So I just sent it to them, and they were fortunately starting their section called The Journey of Immigrants.
The
I call
timing perfect story.
Yes. So they selected two copies, one from me and one from a Pakistani guy. I remember we had a meeting and I was so happy. I was over the clouds that, okay, finally after years I'm talking about my work, I'm talking about my writing, because writing was my passion. So I had this meeting and they discussed about my work. There was the co-founder called George Abraham. He was like, Somya, excellent copy, I did not know you're going through all this. Then he published my copy and I got $100 for it. And I was like, that is the best $100, because this is my $100. It's like my earning, and I was so happy that. And the copy was published on, I remember, 23rd October. I used $50 of that amount to take membership of Canadian Association of Journalism, and I used $50 to give him some gift. And then at the same time, I started working at Winners as a sales associate. And I remember I used to cry every day when I go to work. Like, sometimes there were tears, they were visible, sometimes they were not visible. And I wrote this in my copy as well, that the computer that I used to curate news, that I used to uh, raise voice of people, concern of people, their grievances, and I'm using it to make bills of people who are buying clothes and foods. And I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But when my copy was published, after that I took it as an opportunity to know the community better, and then I
Yeah.
got to know about the students.
See, that's the thing. It's even small successes like that that kind of put you on the path to getting a job in your field, or starting a business of your own. That's why it's important that you just keep trying. You wanted to work as a journalist. You've been working as a journalist for over 8 years, and it's this tiny success that kind of put you on the path to do that and gave you that confidence to be able to apply for jobs in that field.
Above anything, it gave me happiness, because I was not happy. And what is the point of living in Canada, India, or anywhere else when you're not happy,
True.
when you're
True.
crying every day? What is the meaning of it? And that I got to know from the students there who are working. Buying a like $15 thing was expensive for them. They're fighting from each other to get hours, so they know that if they'll get more hour,
They'll get a couple of bucks extra.
Yesterday I got 6 hours instead of four, so I got 2 more hours. I got $30 more. I'm eating pizza this weekend. And I was listening to them and I was like, oh my god, they're struggling for $20. They are not happy. I remember one day I was talking to one of the girls. He was also from India, Delhi. And I was telling her that, yeah, yesterday I was watching TV. And I said, you have TV at your home? Really?
Right. She
तो
was surprised
मजे.
that you had a basic thing as a TV.
Exactly, TV. You are saying that because I have TV, I'm having a good life.
But that's her
So,
perspective, right? Even someone who has a TV is living a much better life than she is because a pizza on the weekend is luxury for her.
and this is someone who has spent $40,000 to come here. And the fees, the expenses, the accommodation, the flight, and everything.
I think in most cases, though, I think in most cases, what happened is that's all the money that the family had, and they just gave it to this one kid to settle them in Canada. And then there's a ton of expectation from them to send money back home or build their life in Canada in a certain way. And then I think it's this mismatch between what expectations they come with and what they face here in Canada. And that's the whole story that has been going on for the last couple of years at least. But from your story as well, you know what I take? You asked for help. You reached out to people on LinkedIn, you reached out to people online, you reached out to freelancers, journalists who are already in that job that you wanted, and you asked for advice. Most people don't do that. Most people are afraid of doing that. And there's no harm in doing that. All you would get is, in most cases, the worst that'll happen is they won't reply to your message. And in the best case, you'll get a job. You know, they might have an opportunity that is perfect for you at that time.
If I contacted like 15 people, maybe three replied to me, but the
Yeah.
12 didn't humiliate me. They just.
Exactly. Yeah. No one's going to humiliate you. No one's going to message you back and say, why did you even try and message me? And even if they do, they're behind a computer. You are behind a computer. No one's going to come and harm you in any way. You know, a little embarrassment is worth getting the job of your dreams. And if people like you, people like me, we'll be happy to help any newcomer who messages us. I always reply to messages that I receive on LinkedIn from people who are trying to find jobs or who are trying to build a career in Canada, or have an education and trying to get an internship. And all they have to do is reach out to whoever they want to reach out to, even if it is on the most senior level. When I was job hunting, I reached out to CEOs of companies, marketing directors of companies. Just try and cut out the middlemen and get to the main person and just message them. Worst that can happen is they won't reply to your message.
Exactly. I think last week only I got a call from a colleague from New Canadian Media, and he said, "Okay, I'm also getting a job in a rural arrangement. Should I take it? How's it?" I just gave my honest feedback. Hey, these are the pros, these are the cons. Now you consider what you have to do.
From your job hunting and that disastrous job fair that you went to, how did you get from there to getting a job in your field? You said you started with New Canadian Media and you're working with Shooting the Breeze right now, and you,
Yes.
you said you're working in a rural area. How did that happen? How did that get from the job fair to your current position?
Yeah. So what happened, as I mentioned, when I got my first article published in New Canadian Media, I started looking people as community and as an opportunity for me to know them. So I started talking to them, and I did some more news reports for New Canadian Media, and through that I got to talk to the police chief of Brampton and so many other people. So I was feeling very happy. I decided to return to reporting. I said, okay, if I
Mm.
want to live in Canada, if I want to do something here in journalism, I cannot do it sitting in a room. So I have to go out in the field and know the people, know the community. So I decided to go back to reporting, and I did some reports for New Canadian Media. I also got freelancing work in Strive. It was a financial education portal. And with a new energy, I would say, I started applying to other jobs, and I removed the filter from my Indeed profile, like Toronto or near Brampton, where I was living. I just
Mhm.
removed the filter and I said, okay, let's just apply, let's see what happens.
And your husband was working from home at the time, so it wasn't a problem him moving.
He's with me here as well. I did not even know that this job is based in Pincher Creek. So I applied here as well. And one day, like every morning, I had this routine of waking up, I'm checking up my mails and seeing the
Mhm.
rejections and getting a little bit disappointed. But that day, I saw a mail which says, okay, your resume is shortlisted and give me your email ID. They asked me to give my contact information and we will contact you, and this is our
Mhm.
website. I opened the link and I was like, okay, it's in Pincher Creek, because when you think about Alberta, you think about Calgary, you think about Banff, you think about Edmonton, Jasper and Yoho, which are highly commercialized tourist places, but no one has heard about Pincher Creek. So I was
Mhm.
like, where is this place? Okay, when we had this interview, because I was working in the editorial section, I said that like besides being your reporter, I can also help on the back end on publishing your copies, because this is something that I have done. Then she
Right.
got very impressed and she said, okay, we want a multimedia journalist. We just don't want a reporter who can just go out and talk to people and come back and just write a uh, copy. And she said, okay. And luckily at that point of time, my house lease was getting over. Then I asked my husband, if you want to come with me, just come and you can work from there and I'll start the job. And he
Right.
was very supportive. He said, yes, definitely. If that's the case, let's go. There's
Mhm.
no harm in it. So we put all our furnitures, all our stuff in the storage, and we came here. And coming here was actually a cultural shock for me,
Mhm.
because I don't know if I've been to Toronto, but there are so many Indians, so many
Yeah.
Indian
Oh yeah, yeah.
restaurants, so many Indian stores. Like
Mhm.
I remember people, my family used to call me from India and say, do you get stuffs, do you miss Indian food? And I said, there are so many Indian restaurants here. Don't worry, we
This
get
is mini
everything.
India, yeah. I mean, if you're living
Yes,
in Toronto, you won't miss India for sure. Living in Edmonton, yeah, there's not that many restaurants. There are some grocery stores here and there, but the culture, the Indian culture that you, or the immigrant culture in general that you get in Toronto or the greater Toronto area, you're not going to get anywhere else in Canada.
exactly. The
Yeah.
things that I was seeing in Indian stores here, I had not seen even in India. But when I came here, the things were very different. People were very different. And I was always born and brought up in a, like, I would say, concrete jungle, in a like big cities and urban life. I was born and brought up in Varanasi. Then I went to do my job in Delhi. Then I was in Mumbai. Then I was in Bangalore, and then I came here. So like this was my first rural experience.
Right.
And there's so many deers around. Like back in India, we had cows everywhere on the streets. Here there
Exactly.
are
Dogs, maybe, yeah, but no deer.
deer. And I was like, I was so happy seeing this, that this is, there's so green, so much greenery. And when I came here, my editor asked me to write a column for me, so that people know that this is a new journalist in town. And she wanted me to write my experience, my first experience. And I wrote that I was, everything was so invigorating for me, because uh, I remember when I wrote the column, I saw the air quality index was 12 here, which was like 61 in Toronto, and which was like above 300 at that time in
Yep.
Delhi.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
was like, oh, everything is so invigorating, so energizing, and
Right.
I was loving it. People were so welcoming to me. I remember after my first column was published, whenever I'm going to a report, oh, you are the new journalist in town. Oh, you are the new reporter of Shooting the Breeze.
See, that's very surprising for me because the image I have of rural Canada is that people are not that welcoming of newcomers or people that don't look like them. And you hear stories about, racist encounters with local Canadians when Indians go there, or, people of color go into these communities. I'm surprised that you say that people were really welcoming in Pincher Creek.
Even I was surprised, because before coming here, that was the one thing that I was a little bit hesitant about, is about how people will welcome me, how they will accept me, because my job is to go and talk to people, to take news out of them. And if they are
Right.
reluctant about me, if they are not very comfortable with me, my job is over, I cannot do it. So that was one concern that I was thinking about before coming here, but no, not at all. People are so good here. Even my landlady, she's a gem. She is ready to help me in any way possible. Like even
Wow.
my manager, she's so good. She arranged someone to pick me from Calgary to here. It's like 3 hours drive, but she arranged that ride for me. Then she booked a hotel for me. She even came to pick me. Like my office was from the hotel was like 1 kilometer, but she said, "Okay, I'll come to pick you up." She came to pick me up. She arranged food for me. She did everything for me. Until now, it's like almost 2 months I'm here in Pincher Creek, and still she's ready to help me in any way possible.
It's really refreshing to hear this from someone who's living in a rural area, that people are actually welcoming of you. And I think this should be a sign for other people who are hesitant or apprehensive of moving into these communities, smaller communities, because there are jobs there. In Toronto or Brampton, towns like those, you will find 100 people, 150 people waiting in line to find a job at 7-Eleven. But a 7-Eleven in Pincher Creek, you will not have that competition. So if you're thinking of moving there, your story is a refreshing sign that people can be welcoming and you could have a comfortable life even in a rural area. How is your experience? Like, I've grown up in Mumbai as well, and then I live in Edmonton. Edmonton is the fifth largest city in Canada, but it still feels like a slower city to me. I can't imagine what Pincher Creek feels like to you. How do you manage that switch from growing up in a concrete jungle, high rises, and you don't see the sky, and you can commute by public transport most of the way? How do you find the difference, the stark difference between that and Pincher Creek, and how do you manage that?
See, I'll tell you, like for me, coming here was an opportunity. I came here to work, but I'll tell you about my husband's perspective. He always said that this was a much needed break from all the hum of the city life. So
Wow.
he enjoys it a lot. I enjoy it a lot. Whenever we go out, like we have to walk because we don't have a car here yet.
Mm.
We have to walk for like 1.2 kilometer to go to the Walmart to get our groceries for the week. And the way to the grocery store, everything is just so scenic, just so beautiful. We always feel that we are detoxifying our body from
Mm.
all we have gone through all through the years. And people are so good. The other day I met someone and I told him that, okay, I'm from India. And then, oh, namaste, kaise ho?
No way.
And I was surprised, and I was like, you know Hindi? He said, yes, I know Hindi. Chalo, chalo. And then I was, how do you know so much? And I said, this is all I know, but I know from Bollywood movies. I used to watch Shah Rukh Khan's movies. And then I said, yeah, but here, because there is this one theater which shows only two movies at a time. Then I told him, yeah, but here I cannot watch any Hindi movies on the in the theater, so I have to wait until they comes on OTTs. Then he said, oh, so why don't you do one thing? Just go talk to the theater owner and ask him to do a marathon of Bollywood movies. Even I'm interested in that.
See, that's the benefit of living in a small town. Everyone knows everyone else, and you can actually make requests like those.
And I was so excited. People are looking forward to watch Bollywood movies. I don't know if I'm fortunate enough or this is the case all over the Canada, but
Mm.
people are so welcoming, they are so helpful.
Have
I
any
go.
stories, any local stories of when I'm thinking of stories like where people actually recognize you, and when you go to the store. Do you have any particular stories like those?
There's a gym here.
Right.
There was a trial class, so I just went, okay, let's see how the trial class goes, and if it is good, I'll join it. First warm up session was to take a 300-meter brisk walk. There were two other members of that gym. They were walking beside me. They asked me, oh, you are new to Pincher Creek? I said, yes, I'm new. I just joined shooting the bridge. Oh, you are Somya Lohia who came from Toronto. And then the other person said, oh, so you are the one who lives at XYZ street at Kathy's place. And I was like,
Wow. So
yes.
it's similar to very similar to like an Indian village where everyone knows everyone else that stays in the city. And if someone new is there, word spreads like wildfire, and everyone knows there's a new Indian person that's moved to Pitcher Creek.
Everyone knows, because as I said, this is the only one newspaper of this town, and most of the people are reading this newspaper, and since my column is published, everyone knows me. And it feels so good. Like maybe if I would have gotten a job in CVC and like a resident editor or anything, I don't know, even everyone in my office knew me. Most of the time I'm
Yeah.
not even struggling for the stories, which was my another concern while coming here, that
Mm.
maybe if I'll get the stories, maybe I'll end up giving some ideas of my own, or I will be just dependent on my editor to give me story ideas and work on it. People are ready to give me story ideas, they are ready to talk to me, and They even welcome me to their houses.
How do you feel now that you are, fairly relatively settled in? You living in comfortably, you have the job that you are looking for, especially in your field. How do you feel about your outlook going forward in Canada? How do you see your life going in the next 5, 10 years? Do you think it's positive, or how do you see it going?
Mm, I would not call myself settled yet. I think I'm on the path of it where I see myself settled in a few years, maybe. But right now, because it is a new job and I'm trying to make my space here among the people, among the community, although they are very welcoming and everything, but still, I'm still settling, so I cannot call myself very much settled here.
At least
You
you have a TV, though. I mean, you have a TV. You can have pizza on the weekend.
I have a pool table as well on which this computer is working right now. When I came here, because of the huge, enormous housing cost, and only my husband is earning, we ended up in a basement which was shabby with rats crawling out and worms
Hmm.
and insects. And sometimes it is very cold. Sometimes, like in the month of April, May, it's very hot. So no lighting, and I don't know if it is snowing outside, I don't know if it is raining outside.
When you were living in the basement, did you ever think, were you dejected, or did you still have the hope of finding a job in your field? And did you think that you would get it in the next year or two or not?
I told you, like when I got my work permit in March, then I was hopeful that okay, I got my work permit. When you live in a gloomy arrangement like that of a basement that I was living in, at some point you lose hope, because you are not even getting sunshine, you're not even getting sunlight here in the basement. uh at the moment we got a chance to get out of that basement, we shifted to a condo unit, because we were getting mentally unstable in that place.
This is not talked about that much, but as Indians and people who come from hot countries, we need the sun more than anyone who's, acclimatized to the Canadian weather. And if we don't get that, our vitamin D levels go down, and vitamin D is extremely important for your mental health. Without the sun, you will be depressed so quickly. It is actually a well-known disease in Canada, seasonal affective disorder. Sad, I didn't even know that was a disease until I moved to Canada.
Exactly.
Let's talk about your job that you do right now. What is the most interesting part of your job? What does your day to day look like? And what is the most important or most fun, interesting part of your day, of your job?
So I'm a community reporter here. It is all about the what is happening in the community. And thankfully when I joined here, it was summer, so people are just out and there are so many events happening around right now. I was covering the Indigenous Day celebration. National Indigenous Peoples Day was on June 21. So I was covering that. Before that, I was a part of like Pride event. So many events happening. We think that has diversity because of the immigrants, but Canada itself is very diverse. I got to know Blackfoot people, Siskia, Kainai. I got to know the people of Piikani Nation and their dress ups, their regalia, their cultures. It's called powwow. I don't know if you have heard about it. Powwow is a party, is like a gathering of indigenous people. I got to go there to cover the events, and oh my god, their dresses so colorful, their unique dances. Like they have dance for their every day to day activity. They have chicken dance, they have grass dance. Then when they go to pick up grasses, when they
Yeah.
go to catch a chicken. I went to an educational powwow where they were telling me about the origin of every dances, and that was so beautiful.
I've lived here for almost 6 years now, and I've never had the opportunity to learn about any of the tribes. These are the people that have been here, indigenous to Canada, forever, for as long as time. And it's really amazing that you get to interact with these people and learn about indigenous culture as well.
Yes, and when you'll meet these people, na, whatever we do, when we go to Manali, when we go to Banff, when we go to Calgary or anywhere, what we do, we just appreciate. We like, wow, this is so good. Oh my god, this is so beautiful. The Rocky Mountains are amazing. But when you will talk to the indigenous people, when you will talk to the local people of here, they will not just appreciate that, they admire it. I remember with my landlady, I went to a Boway Lake near here, and we were expecting to see bears, and we actually did encounter two black bears there. Before we were going, they were teaching us how to see a signs that the bear could be here. So we saw half eaten fish there. Okay.
Right.
And then we said, okay, there's a half eaten fish. That means there is a bear nearby. And we saw the bear like 500 meters away. We saw the
Yeah.
bears. And the first thing, can you believe what they said? There is a half eaten fish. That means the bears are well fed. We are happy that they have enough food to eat.
That means it's safe to be around there right now, because people try and take photographs even when they're going to Banff or Jasper and they encounter a bear somewhere in the forest. They'll park their cars on the side of the highway and try and get close to the bear, which is extremely dangerous. But this is good to know that if there is a half-eaten fish somewhere, that means that the bear has had its fill, and you're okay.
Yes.
You're safe to go around there. Not
Yes.
not close to them anyway. They're beasts still, but you're okay.
More about the safety, they are so happy that he is well fed. This is the point, that they are happy about the bear, that he's well fed. Then they showed me beaver lodge, like beaver's home. They showed me ants home. They told me about flowers, who are the sign of, okay, the spring is here, who are the sign that, okay, spring is going, summer is here. They showed me different kinds of birds, their nests. There's a bird called asprey who make nests up on tall trees. I really felt so connected to nature, which I had never felt before. What you are asking me, the best part of my job is to knowing the community so closely, is to knowing the actual real Canadian people who are here since like ages, whose dresses are inspired from, like, now they don't have buffalo skins, but their dresses are inspired from them. They still have feathers on their caps and their regalias and their robes. So it is so good to see it. It really made me feel that whenever next I'm going to India, maybe I'm going to know about an Indian tribe which I don't.
Yeah.
I, as an Indian, I know I am an Indian. Okay, I'm from Rajasthan. I know my cultures and traditions. My husband is from Bengal. Okay, he knows about Bengali things and all, but I do not know the actual Indian tribes. So this actually excite me. I don't know when, but I really want to explore Indian tribes now. That if I'm connecting to these people this much, how much I'll connect to those people, and I don't know anything. I think besides like giving me a career in my field, besides giving me money, the best part of this job is to knowing the community, the indigenous people better.
That's amazing. That's really really amazing to hear, Somya. And on that positive note, we'll end the podcast. But I just wanted to find out if people want to reach out to you. Are you open to DMs, and what would be the right place to reach out to you?
In Instagram, I can also share my email ID, I can share my Twitter ID.
Maybe there are newcomers who are journalists, or who write online, or who are copywriters, and they just need some advice, or there are people who have stories they would like to reach out to you. Guys, if you want to find Somya's contact details, everything will be in the show notes.
Yes, please, anyone, whenever, like whatever help I can do, I will definitely do. That's my promise to you. Really want to invite you to Pincher Creek. Please come. I want to show you.
I would love to do that. I would love to. I think we were planning
Yes,
on trip to Waterton Lakes this summer, and Pincher Creek is on the way, so we might just stop by for a coffee.
definitely. I'm waiting for
That's awesome.
that.
Thank you, Samya. It was great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on.